Environmental Chair, PP Raja Gopal, our honor speaker of the day, Dr. Yong Ling, PDGs, presidents, past presidents, fellow Rotarians, Lotrators, Intractors, and all the participants. First of all, I would like to thank Rotarian Donor Ong in collaboration with his company, Environmental Competency Consultancy, Sendirian Pahat, in short ECC, for successfully organizing environmental webinar in conjunction with World Cleanup Day. This is an interesting topic on how to convert kitchen waste to purified wastewater. The technology of compositing and fermenting waste residues into fertilizer or enzyme-based product is very common in developed countries, and yet in Malaysia. As an environmental protector, we should look seriously into the water quality issue faced globally. This topic should be able to create public awareness on the importance of clean water to our life. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to welcome you guys to enjoy this talk, and I believe this technology of composting and fermenting will benefit new generation in order to keep our environment green and sustainable. Thank you.
Okay, thanks to our opening speech by our President Brian Tan, which is from Rotary Club of Batu Pahat. And then, without further ado, now I hand over the speech to our District Governor for our District 3310, Ms. Dolly Yap, in order to deliver her welcoming speech.
Thank you, Moderator Rotarian Donald Ong, President Brian Tan, President the Rotary Club of Batu Pahat, our speaker for this afternoon, Dr. Yong Ling, past District Governor, Datuk Zaini Abdul Akasa, our Environment Advisor, past President Raja Gopal, Chair for District Environment Committee, distinguished guests, and my dear fellow Rotarians. A very good afternoon to everyone. Foremost, let me thank President Brian Tan, and all members of the Rotary Club of Batu Pahat for this kind invitation to me and the opportunity to give the opening speech for this afternoon webinar. Thank you. As all of us are aware that environment is now the 7th area of focus of Rotary International, and in line with this, our district has planned for several environmental projects during this Rotary year, which includes both physical, depending on the situation, as well as a series of virtual talks such as today. This afternoon is a second of the environmental talk organized under the calendar of the District Environment Committee, headed by past President Raja Gopal. Do watch out for more of our series in the coming months. I first came to know of Rotarian Donald, our moderator of today's series, during their club installation in Batu Pahat. Past President Fu, our district membership chair, spoke highly of him and his vocation. Without much delay, I contacted Donald and we met again during the government's banquet dinner held in JB. We spoke about the subject matter and he definitely was the person to discuss about environment. Donald is the director of the Environmental Competency Consultancy Sendirian Berhad and a certified HRDF trainer. I immediately informed PDG Datuk Zaini, our advisor to the District Environment Committee, who at that time was preparing the calendar for this series of virtual talks, and who had earlier asked me to source for environmental experts from amongst our Rotary clubs. I believe Rotarian Donald and past district governor Dato Zaini had contacted each other, and I'm very pleased to know that Rotary Club of Batu Pahat has agreed to organize 3 webinars on the environment for this Rotary year. This afternoon will be the first. Thank you, Rotarian Donald and Rotary Club of Batu Pahat for such a strong support to our environmental programs, and not only on environment projects, but Rotary Club of Batu Pahat has also given a strong support on several of our other projects and programs of the districts. I would like to take this opportunity to thank every members, especially past President P.P. Fu, A.G. Mandy, past President Bintang, past President C.C. Teo, the chairman of the dialysis, Chan Chun Sing, IPP Lilian, Duventure, and B.E. Peck. The list is endless from me. Thank you, everyone in Rotary Club of Batu Pahat. The title of the talk, Converting Kitchen Waste to Purifying Water Waste, straight came into my mind how I used to compost waste food. I enjoy it when it acts as a fertilizer to my plant. And the other is I love spending time in my kitchen because of the house plant that I have with the direct sun shining on them. I'm one who saves water from the frequent reminder of pouring the water after washing the rice into the plants. I'm here to learn more from our speaker, hoping that it will lead us to save our environment and in a way save money too. My appreciation and thanks to our speaker, Dr. Yong Ling, for your time and for sharing your experience this Saturday afternoon with us. A topic which I'm sure many of us here are too eager waiting to hear from you. Thank you, Dr. Yong. Once again, my utmost thanks to Rotary Club of Batu Pahat for having this virtual talk, and to all our distinguished guests and my fellow Rotarians. Let's enjoy the meaningful talk. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, our district governor, Ms. Dolly, for the very inspiring speech. And a very well welcomes for our honored guest, which is Dr. Yong, for her upcoming sharing sessions. So now, I will try to do a brief introduction regarding our speaker today, which is Dr. Yong Ling. She joined University Technology Malaysia as a senior lecturer under Departments of Water and Environmental Engineering, School of Civil Engineering upon her graduation from National University of Singapore in the year of 2013. Her research interests include environmental monitoring, understanding the chemistry occurring in water environments, accumulations of contaminants, and appearance of antibiotic resistant bacteria in muscle of water and wastewater treatments. Recently, she embarked her research on using fermented kitchen waste liquids, or commonly known as eco-enzyme, as a cheap alternative to treat the polluted waters. So, based on this, we know most of the kitchen waste is very useful, and we don't simply dump it into the dustbin and create major solid pollutions. So now, without further delay and ado, I will pass the stage to Dr. Yong Ling for her to begin her inspiring sharing. Pass to you, Dr. Yong.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, thank you very much. I hope everyone can hear me. Yeah?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you very much that for Donald to actually invite me to give this talk. Actually, it's like Batu Pahat has a very close relationship with me because I come from Batu Pahat as well. So I was studying in convent school that time. Yeah, when I was young. All right. So when Donald approached me, they're asking me to give a talk. Then I immediately say yes. So without further ado, let me share my slides first. That I hope that I have a lot of things to share actually, because I was actually very excited about it when I talk about this eco-enzyme thing. So can everyone see the slides now? Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so today's topic will be what we call converting kitchen waste to remediate water and wastewater. So how are we going to do that? So let's take a look at where is our earth water first. So our earth water, we know that generally, okay, so about 96.5% is actually comes from ocean, and then with other 0.9%, which is saline water, and those water are not drinkable. And we only have a fresh water of about 2.5% only in the whole earth. So from this 2.5, then it will further dissected into your glaciers and ice caps, which is about 70%, your groundwater, which is about 30%, and the fresh water or surface water is only about 1.2%. So this surface water or fresh water, again, they are further divided into the ground ice and permafrost, meaning that the water which is in the form of ice underground, which is about 70%, your lakes, which is about 20%, and your rivers, especially, is only about 0.49%. So the water that we drink actually comes from rivers, which is only 0.49%. And then this also signifies it is less than 0.01% of fresh water, which is being used for 70% in agricultural and 30% in municipal and industrial. So municipal means that our domestic users as well as for industrial usage. All right. So what is wastewater? So wastewater is actually used water, the water that you have already used.
Couldn't hear, no sound.
Doctor, you accidentally turned off. Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay. Because suddenly I saw someone muted me, so I was like, what happened? All right. Okay. So it's like, okay, it is used water that come from domestic. Okay, domestic meaning our household. We have our urine and feces. We call it black water. Then we have kitchen. Okay, reuse, refuse, or the kitchen washing from our dishes. Then your gray water, which is your shower water, as well as your laundry water. All right. And then we have our industrial wastewater. We have textile in textile. They are Ramatex in Batu Pahat, as well as there are others electronics. There are others manufacturing company over there, and then you have Munchies also in Batu Pahat. All these are industrial wastewater that they produce water that is to be discharged into the river. Of course, they did a treatment for this. And then, of course, we have our agricultural. Agricultural come from livestock, okay? Normally, chicken farms, they do not have wastewater when they are rearing chicken, but they have a wastewater when they are treating, when they are trying to process the chickens, okay? And then you will have sheep, goats, and also cows, all right? Then, of course, Malaysia is a main producer for oil palm industry. So we would have palm oil mill effluent, which is a main and quite a headache effluent to be actually treated in Malaysia. All right. So the wastewater treatment types will be divided into three major types. You have biological, chemical, and physical. So of course, I will not go details into each of the treatments type because if you would like to, then this will be another type of course, which I think Donald can actually organize that for this. Okay. And then normally biological treatment will be the most commonly employed and is the cheapest one because it's a biological only rely on the bacteria to actually break down the organic compounds in the wastewater. Then for those that is very difficult to be broken down by bacteria, then we will go for chemical treatment, which is we call for tertiary treatment. Okay, so tertiary treatment, then you will use some chemical methods. The most common one, it will be Fenton and ozonation, meaning that you can use ozone to actually break down the chemicals that cannot be broken off. Okay, then of course you have other type also. It can be primary or tertiary, which is all physical. So in physical, for primary treatment will be normally coagulation and flocculation, which is used in our water treatment system, where you wanted to remove all the suspended materials in the water, the floating materials inside the water, like some suspended clays or particles that you do not want, and it makes the water look turbid. Okay, and then after that you have tertiary treatment such as membrane and absorption, and of course there will be filtration. Okay, so membrane is a type of filtration treatment. So this is physical treatment. All right, these are the major treatment type, and then this is a treatment train. Okay, this is a typical for our domestic wastewater treatment, meaning that it comes out from a toilet, it goes into your treatment plants. Okay, so first of all, you will have a primary settlement, okay, meaning that you're settling for your big particles. Then you will have activated sludge. Activated sludge is something like a biological process where they rely on the bacteria to actually break down the compound or to treat the wastewater. Then after that, because you have activated sludge, and activated sludge, normally the bacteria will be in suspension, because when you pump the oxygen, then it will go into a secondary settling time to actually clarify the treated wastewater, okay, before they release into the environment. And of course, when you have a lot of settlement like the particles, you need to treat it again for anaerobic digestion, which I will not go into detail about this. All right, then you will have typical industrial wastewater treatment. So again the same. In wastewater treatment, you will have a primary treatment to remove all the big particles before you go into a secondary treatment, which is also normally used as a biological treatment. Okay, and then before you, of course, they will have a polishing step, which is a tertiary treatment to remove the chemicals that you can't remove in your biological processes. Okay, so these are the Environmental Quality Act that either it is a wastewater treatment plants operator or companies or industries that they actually need to meet. Okay, so Environmental Quality Act 1974, it is divided into two types. So the first type will be the sewage. Sewage is our domestic one from our house going to the treatment plants. So these are the parameters that they will need to meet, meaning that they will have a pH value, okay, meaning that how acidic and alkaline it is. Then you have your BOD and COD. BOD and COD normally are oxygen demand to measure or to characterize or to price or to quantify the amount of organics that is inside your wastewater. Then you have a suspended materials, you have oil and grease and ammonium nitrogen. And do not be surprised, in our municipal wastewater, okay, or in our domestic wastewater, there are a lot of oil and grease, okay? Because if you, when you are doing cooking, okay, you fry the stuff and then you do not know where to throw the oil, you pour into your sink, and then that will cause oil and grease in the wastewater treatment plants. And then what will happen is it will impede or it will inhibit or it will stop the bacteria from growing well, and it can't really treat the wastewater. All right. And then of course you have ammonium nitrogen, which is your ammonia, and then you have nitrate nitrogen and nitrite nitrogen. So these three, ammonia, nitrate, and nitrite, actually they are closely related to each other. So we release it into the wastewater as ammonia, and then after that ammonia will be converted to bacteria, okay, to nitrate, okay, and then of course you will have phosphorus in it also. All right, so for industrial effluent, okay, the treatment or a more stringent regulation is actually imposed on them. So they will have about 30. So they will have about 30 types of around 30 types of parameters that they need to meet, where you have heavy metals, they will have sulfides, phenols, and then they will have color also. Okay, apart from the basic parameters that actually they need to meet, like the sewage. All right. So, but then it's like even with the stringent law, and then even with wastewater treatments, okay, that you have, we still have pollution problem. Okay, so it's like over here, it's like I just pick up some news that it has been happening for these past 2 years, 2019 until 2021. Okay, I just pick up 4. Actually, there are more. Okay, so you will have a water treatment that is actually plants that is actually polluted by ammonia. All right. Then in Klang Valley, normally you will hear is Selangor. They will often has water cuts. My sisters stay with my mom in Selangor, so frequently I will hear the water keep cutting here now and then. Sometimes it can last up to a week. Okay, and then after that you will have a factory and sewage treatment plant. Okay, it causes dead fish or fish death. Okay, due to ammonia pollution and some other chemicals released that cause the pollution. All right, and then after that, of course, the most famous one, Sungai King. Okay, Sungai King, I believe everyone knows about it. What happened to it when they have the illegal discharge of from the industrial waste. All right. So actually, what causes them to happen is first you will have an illegal discharge, and illegal discharge is something very difficult to capture. Okay, unless you put a CCTV everywhere. Okay, then you will know who discharged and then who threw. Okay, then you can track. All right. The second one will be the non-point source. Non-point source means that you do not know where it comes from. Okay, normally it will spike during rain. Okay, the pollution happens during rainfall. Okay, for example, it comes from your agriculture when you put fertilizers to your vegetables. Okay, and then it comes from eateries like the kopitiams. Okay, so the eateries shop normally when they wash their dishes and all this, it will flush down into the drain. Okay, so that drain actually is a stormwater drain. So it should not be used to throw anything except rainwater. Except rainwater for rainwater to flow. But unfortunately, normally in eateries, you will see that people just wash their dishes and all this, everything, they just throw it down the drain. So this is called non-point source. Then, of course, you will have inappropriate treatment because of the cost, okay? Then it will lead to the inefficient treatment. Because generally, by those who are not very familiar with the wastewater effects, okay, what will happen was, especially, I'm not sure about, I hope that in Rotary Club, everyone is very well abide with the law. And then it's like normally they will try to use the cheapest method. Okay, so the cheapest method, so what will happen was it will cause inefficient treatment because it's like the treatment does not tally with each other. All right, and then after that, of course, you will have spillage and accidents that happen because it's like sometimes it was due to the pipe breakage, and then sometimes it rains and then it will cause overflow. Okay, so these are the few reasons that why the water is still polluted, especially to our rivers. Okay, so these are the major part or overview of how the sources of water is actually polluting water. So you have an agricultural part, okay, and then you will have our domestic part where you have urban runoff, and then some parts of the house, especially very old housing area, they will have septic tanks. Okay, when septic tanks after 20 years, 30 years, no one discharge, they don't call IWK or the wastewater treatment operators to come and discharge their septic tank. What will happen? It will have overflow. Okay, and then it will cause seepage. Okay, and then of course you will have sewage treatment facilities. After you treated the wastewater, okay, you will have to be discharged into the river. All right, and then one part as well as your industrial part, and then one part that I didn't touch on is actually landfill. Okay, the rubbish that you throw into the landfill actually can cause this to happen. So when the things that you throw to landfill generally are organic waste. So when organic waste goes into the, whether it is open dumping or it is a cover up, okay, so what happened was this organic waste will release, okay, they call it landfill gas, which is in methane and carbon dioxide. Okay. All right, sorry, okay. So
must mute that noise at the back.
Okay, all right. So, okay, what's happened was the methane gas and the carbon dioxide would lead to climate change because these are greenhouse gases, okay? Then after that, the organic also will cause leachate formation. Leachate formation is actually the wastewater that is being produced during the fermentation process or anaerobic process inside the soil. So what happened was it will cause river or groundwater pollution. So this is a very significant environmental impact which we wanted to review here. So according to the waste composition in Malaysia, you can see that food waste is about 44.5%, okay, of the whole composition waste in Malaysia. Okay, so what happened was in our food nationwide food waste, we have about 38,000 tons of daily domestic waste that is being thrown away. This is daily, which is about 38,000 tons. If you times about 365 days, then you can imagine how many millions has it been thrown into our landfill. And then 45% of it is food waste, which is about 17 tons. So it is enough to actually feed 7 Olympic swimming pools in a day, okay? And then from out of this 17,000 tons, there is an avoidable food, which is 4,080 tons, okay? This means that it is still edible, meaning that sometimes you buy from Food Panda, okay? Currently now we are in the pandemic, so Food Panda Grab food is very famous. You bought it and then you can't finish the portion. So what happened? You throw it away. And then sometimes, if not, you will just keep it in the fridge until it's spoiled, then you throw it away. And then sometimes we will overbuy also because currently everything is clicking. You buy only, purchase online. So you will overbuy your vegetables and you overbought your vegetables and your fruit. All right. So what happens if you don't finish them on time? You will still throw them away. So this 4,080 tons, okay, can be avoidable, but there are about 13,000 tons, which is 76%, which is unavoidable. Those comes from your fruit peels, okay, and it comes from your the vegetables. Sometimes when you bought a bunch of vegetables, sometimes they are spoiled vegetables, okay, or sometimes the vegetables is not fresh, then you don't use it for cooking, you will discard it off. All right, and then you will have bones, you will have your eggshells. All right, and then now moving towards the food waste and circular economy. So we are trying to make use of this food waste. Okay, so the food that is generated in the city will be designed to continue to actually convert it into other byproducts, okay, such as fertilizer, so that it can be used again to plant your vegetables or your fruit trees. All right, so is it enough to just making it into fertilizers? Because I believe that not everyone would like to do planting. Not everyone loves planting, right? So this is why the eco-enzyme come in, okay? First, eco-enzyme actually is the users to convert waste or kitchen waste into value-added product. So what do you need to do? It is a very simple process. You just need 10 ratio of water, 1 ratio of sugar and molasses, and 3 ratio of your organic waste. So you don't include your bones, you don't include your okay, sorry. So it's like we have 3 ratio of organic waste. So in this 3 ratio of organic waste, you will have your fruit peels and vegetables. So you don't put in your bones as well as your eggshells. The reason why you don't put in your bones and your eggshell is because they don't degrade. Okay, during the fermentation process, they won't degrade. Okay, the eggshell will still be an eggshell, because at the end of the day, it will become too acidic, and the acids will actually preserve the bones as well as the eggshells. Okay, even if you throw your fish innards in, what will happen is it will cause it to be preserved. Okay, so it will not go smell, it will not go bad, but it will be preserved. So this is something that we do not want. That's why we remove the bones, eggshells, and also any other meat products. Okay, so it is only the organic waste. All right, so 1, 3, and 10. Find a recyclable container, put it in, mix everything up. Okay, you can cut your vegetable into a smaller parts depending on the size of your container. All right, and then you cover and ferment it for 3 months, and then after 3 months you will get a liquid like this. The color of the liquid is brown in color because of the sugar and the molasses. But if you use brown sugar, the color will be lighter. So either brown sugar or molasses you can use. Why we don't use white sugar? It's because white sugar don't have any micronutrients and macronutrients. Okay, the nutrients that requires by the bacteria. Okay, apart from us human, we need vitamins. Bacteria also need vitamins. Okay, so that's why we either use molasses and sugar. And actually, molasses is an unprocessed sugar, so they are actually cheaper in that sense. All right, so this is what I did in my home. So this is a 25 to 30 liters container. Okay, so this is 2 weeks to a month. You will see that there's a formation of brown color yeast. Actually, this is normal. This is a natural wild yeast that is everywhere inside your kitchen. Okay, so you have this brown yeast. Okay, then after 6 months, you will see that the yeast will start to disappear. It is not that they settle down, they start to disappear. So it's like 2 weeks to a month, you will see that your water or your solution of the eco-enzyme will turn cloudy. If it is good, it means that your bacteria is growing. Okay, so you do not need to be concerned about the bacteria, because the bacteria are generally lactic acid bacteria, or the bacteria which is acetic acid, because they need to convert this into acids. Okay, so with the pH or the acidity of the eco-enzyme starts to drop, meaning that the pH level starts to drop, then you will see that your bacteria will start getting lesser, because that condition is not suitable for the bacteria to live on. Even if you put in your pathogens like your E. coli, they will die because they can't survive under an acidic condition. So what remains here was actually is only lactic acid bacteria, is lactobacillus, okay, or your acetic acid bacteria or acidogens. All right, so these are the 2 types of bacteria that will only survive under this low pH. All right. All right, so this is basically the fermentation process, where we call it an anaerobic process. So this anaerobic process normally will convert your complex organic polymers into soluble compounds. Okay, so they will convert it into soluble compounds. By the end of the day, you will form your volatile fatty acids, alcohol, acetic acid, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen. And then lastly, it will form something that is called a methane gas. Then you might have question, isn't this I'm generating greenhouse gases again because I'm producing carbon dioxide and methane? But don't worry, this will not happen because the condition is too acidic for the methanogenesis to happen, meaning that the bacteria that is converting or making methane gas will not be able to survive under acidic condition. So if I'm doing my research on this to produce methane gas, I have to make sure that my pH don't drop too low. If it drops, then I have to increase the pH. Okay, so this one you do not worry that it will generate any methane gas because it's like at the end of the day, your carbon dioxide and hydrogen will be converted into acetic acid because this is your final product. If you put inside a plastic container, okay, this is just sharing some info. If you put in a plastic container, after 6 months, okay, to a year, if you ferment it long enough, you'll see that your initially it's like there will be gases. Gases normally will make the plastic bottle expanded a little bit. Okay, then you have to release the gas. Then after 6 months, even if you cover it, you will find that actually the bottles will actually start to actually deform and it will go inside. Okay, meaning that you will see the hourglass, okay, shape in your bottle. Okay, that hourglass shape will mean that actually the conversion of the carbon dioxide and the gas is missing already. So meaning that the outer pressure is pushing the bottles to become hourglass shape. All right. So only then here we will have acetic acid. You will have less of volatile fatty acids and also your alcohols. So in here, if you have alcohols and remaining a little bit of alcohols, normally it will act as a disinfectant. Okay. And then after that, okay, and then after that, it will form volatile fatty acids and acetic acids actually are bacterial food. It is a food that is readily to be digested. Okay, so you can actually let bacteria eat it very easily. I will share why it is important to have this when you are doing your remediation or treatment of your water and wastewater. Okay, so over here, they have conducted the study that, okay, this ecoenzyme actually have readily available enzyme. Okay, so that's why it is called a ecoenzyme. So this readily available enzyme will be amylase, lipase, and protease. Okay, in this study which they have conducted. Okay, so amylase for us, it is used to catalyze hydrolysis process of carbohydrates to glucose. Okay, so for this, in order to very easily see the effects of this amylase, in next time you have done your ecoenzyme, you cook your rice in a pot. Okay, so your rice normally will stick in the pot, right? So if you pour you put the 1 pump of ecoenzyme, okay, the ready-made one, into the rice pot, and then you scrub with your detergent. It is very easily come off. That you do not need to even soak it for a long time. All right, and then they have lipase. Lipase is to break down oils into fatty acids. Okay, so if you have a very oily plastic container, because currently now we have a lot of food pandan. All right, so they will come in plastic container, and we do not want this plastic container to be sent to landfill. So what we can do is we will wash. Okay, what I will do at home is I will wash them. Okay, so that I can separate my waste. Okay, I will wash them. So because it's like it is very oily sometimes, it's very difficult to clean, right? So what happened was I will just pour a cap of mineral bottle, just half a cap. I pour it inside the container. Come in with a little bit of dishwashing liquid, and then I just need only 1 time wash, so I can remove all the oils, and it is actually very clean. All right, and then they will have proteins, which you try to break down protein into amino acids. So if you like baking, okay, baking like chickens, okay, if you like to bake your chickens, and then sometimes after baking, you will find that your tray or your container or your plates will have the residue of the chickens, okay, or the meat, okay, like steak, okay. Then what happened was you can actually pour your concentrated ecoenzyme into it, soak it for let's say about half an hour. You wash it, it can easily go off, and you do not need to soak overnight. All right. And then why they require 3 months of fermentation. Somebody might have question, hey, why can't I do 1 month, 2 months? Why do you need 3 months? 3 months requirement is because you will need to achieve a maximum acetic acid production. Because at first you will have a lot of different volatile fatty acids. Okay, so you need to have a stable acetic acid production, meaning that you convert all these different types of fatty acids into acetic acids. And the acetic acids is about 7.5% in this study. In my study, which I conducted, is about 9%. Okay, so 9%. So in order to achieve a production and stabilization for 3 months, then it will be, normally it's like in our vinegar, you can use vinegar to actually do the same thing, just that you need to buy the vinegar in order to do your cleaning. All right. So the vinegar actually is about 5% of acetic acid. I mean the vinegar that we bought on store. All right. So why don't you just convert this waste, and then it is free. Okay, you can freely use, and it will use without reserve actually, because it is free. All right. And then in some studies, okay, how does it use it? Okay, ecoenzyme people has been using it to study to actually treat wastewaters and water as well. So in this study, they use it to treat oil and grease removal. Okay, and also biochemical oxygen demand. So they use about 25% and 50%. So what they found was actually they can about reduce about 60%. Okay, for 25%, they can reduce about 60% of oil and grease. And then for the biochemical oxygen demand, which is also your organic matter inside your water, which you wanted to remove, okay, they can reduce about, after 10 days, it can reach about 50% of removal by using ecoenzyme. All right. And then this is one study conducted in India. They use on grey water, meaning that it is your kitchen water and your laundry water. Okay, so they found that actually there's a reduction also. Okay, so ammonia is about 100%, phosphate 100%, and then you can see that it is MPN. MPN is actually your bacteria count. Okay, they call it most probable number. Okay, that you count the bacteria count inside the wastewater, and it can achieve 100% removal as well. So you can know that actually it has a very good disinfectant purposes. Okay, so whether it is 5%, 10%, 20%, 50%, it is actually sufficient. Okay, but then for COD and BOD and also total dissolved solids, it is about 60 to 80%. All right. And then, of course, they use it for palm oil mill effluent as well. So they also show removal on the chemical oxygen demand, oil and grease, as well as the total suspended material. Actually, it's like, it means that they can settle down the suspended materials. Okay, then some use it on metal-based effluent. Also the same thing. It's very interesting to it's very interesting to see that the CFU here is actually the bacteria count. Okay, at first when control, meaning that control means that you don't add ecoenzyme. So they don't add ecoenzyme, they will still observe the bacteria for about 10 to the power of 10. Meaning that it's billions. Okay, 1.5 is about 15 billions of bacteria inside the metal-based effluent. But after the treatment with ecoenzyme, they found that the bacteria is actually totally zero. Okay, so meaning that again, it at different study, different places shows similar results. Okay, and then they can show that you have a pH that is being about 7. All right, and then your biochemical oxygen demand, okay, that is being reduced to 22. All right, your organic matter can be reduced, your total suspended solids can be reduced, and your total dissolved solids and total solids all can be reduced. Okay, and then they use it on aquaculture sludge as well. So they show the efficiency of different water quality parameters after 10 days. So meaning that the removal, whether you are using tomato ecoenzyme or orange ecoenzyme, actually the removal rate is more or less the same. So the phosphate can achieve about nearly about 90 to 100%. Okay, your ammonia, which is TAN, total ammoniacal nitrogen, you can remove about 70% to 80%. Your organics you can remove to about 70, okay, to 80%. All right, and then you have, of course, your total suspended solids can remove about 80%. All right, and then again, this one they use it for domestic wastewater, meaning that it is from your treatment plants. Okay, this also is conducted in India. Why a lot of study is conducted in India? Because India don't have a lot of money to actually build a treatment system, but their water is really polluted. It's very polluted, and they can't sometimes they even have to drink dirty water. So that's why it's like they are looking for cheap alternative also to actually to actually treat their wastewater. All right. So they use 10%, 20%, 30%. Again, they validated that the ecoenzyme has the capability to kill bacteria. Okay, the pathogens. Okay, what we call pathogens that will bring disease. Okay, so the most probable count is actually 100% reduction. They can't see any bacteria growing. All right, and then you will have your, of course, your organic matter can be removed, as well as this is your total dissolved solids. All right, then this is another study also in India as well. So you can see that again, they show that their reduction about 5 to 10%, using 5 and 10% of ecoenzyme. All right, and then they did a very bold move where they actually pour it into their freshwater bodies. Of course, Taiwan, they actually did it as well, just that they do not have study. It is more on the citizens' work. Okay, so that was actually, I didn't show it here, but what they did was they actually convert a eutrophied river or eutrophied lakes. Okay, that lake is actually grow with green algae. Okay, it means that their ammonia level is very high. When they pour ecoenzyme, after 3 months, the algae was gone. Okay. All right. So what happened here was, okay, they see a substantial improvement in dissolved oxygen, meaning that dissolved oxygen increased. Biochemical oxygen demand and the COD value, meaning that the organics is being removed as well. So they found that actually the water bodies become cleaner. There will be no foul smell. Okay. And also their organic levels actually meets with the standard permissible level of the treatment. Okay. And then after that, this is conducted, I think, in 2019. Okay. So this 2019 is like they also put in a river. Okay. Just now that one is in a lake. So this one is in a river or a pond. Okay. That they channel it sideways to a pond. They treat before they release the water out. Okay. So you can see also a marked improvement after 1 month. They only pour one time. This one is they only pour one time. Then they went to sample again after 1 month. Okay, but then the activity still continues as usual, but they will still see improvement. Okay, all right. So now my question to them is, when I was reading all these reports, so I have a question in myself. So I tried to test the characteristic of ecoenzyme using the using the water quality parameters that we need to meet. So all this highlighted in red actually shows that they are all exceeded the water bodies concentration, meaning that it is much higher, a few hundred times higher than the permissible level. Okay, especially your ammonia is about 70, where the ammonia for normal water should be less than, if it is a healthy one, should be less than 0.5. All right, so it's like, would it really work? I have a question like, would it really work? So this is a question, is it effective, that I have that time, and would it cause severe pollution? Because since that it is have high organic content, high ammonia content, high phosphorus content, isn't it going to cause more pollution later? So this is my question. So I did a bench study myself. So what happened was I did it on a palm oil effluent. So this is with no added ecoenzyme, and then with added ecoenzyme. You can see a very drastic disappearance, all right? When you don't have added ecoenzyme, you can see that the water is still a bit cloudy. Okay, you can see cloudy, and then it is also black in color. Black in color means that it is oxic. Oxic means that there's no oxygen, there's no bacteria. But then when you add the ecoenzyme at different percentage, you can see that the suspended materials can settle very well, and you can actually remove it. You can actually filter off the supernatant, we call it. Okay, the top part of the water. Okay, you can actually filter off the water very easily, and the materials can be suspended. Very clear distinction that you can see. All right. So after that, with a curiosity again, I put it in a palm oil effluent. So I stir it for 14 days. So what happened was I saw that the oils, because palm oil effluent, they have a very high oil and grease content. So what I found was actually they form oil globules, meaning that the oils was coagulated together. Okay, become small balls. All right, so it can mix and then after that, when you stop stirring, they will start to float on top. So you can actually simply or easily skim it off from the wastewater from palm oil effluent before you treat the palm oil effluent. Because when you have oil, it is very difficult for the bacteria to grow and for the bacteria to degrade. So it makes the treatment not very efficient. Okay, then of course, with very curiosity that I wanted to do an ammonia test. What happened is I sampled the water from oxidation outlet of the oxidation pond, because our UTM river also have a ammonia pollution problem, which we have about 4.12 milligram per liter of ammonia, and then the total suspended solid is 17.5. Those two are very low, but the ammonical nitrogen is the part that we wanted to solve. So what I did was, I had my ammonia. So you can see that when I added 1% and 5% of ecoenzyme, so what happened was 1% it was reduced everything to 0, but 5% you will show a slight increment of the ammonia after 2 weeks. So what happened was, you can see that in 14 days and 18 days, you can see that if I have 1% of ecoenzyme, you will see that the algae is growing. Okay, algae is actually growing, but then when I added 5% of ecoenzyme, the spike was due to the death of some of the bacteria, because you can see that the algae removal is gone, meaning that the green color is gone, but you are growing your bacteria inside the system. So it means that when you added the ecoenzyme into a wastewater or into a river to treat a certain river, it helps to boost, okay, the bacteria in the river to actually work more, to actually treat the water better. Okay, and then of course the total suspended solids, you have 1% enzyme and then 5% enzyme, you will see a marked increment because of the bacteria growth. Okay, the bacteria grow really, really fast in 1%, 5%. All right. Then of course your chemical oxygen demand, as expected, it will be high. So with a further study, I did another bench study with a lower ecoenzyme concentration, and I can achieve a similar result for the ammonia. And then you can see that at day 4, ammonia, if we've added ecoenzyme, is actually reduced, okay, from about 2 to 1, by meaning that a 50% removal. But if you do not have any pollution entering the water, okay, then the ammonia will biodegrade itself. Okay, everything will actually recover itself if you stop the pollution, which is very difficult in nowadays, because our river, you see that it is polluted here and there. All right. So the important point is, if you have a low concentration of ecoenzyme, it can actually aid the removal of ammonia. And if you have a high concentration, it will increase the total suspended solids concentration, meaning because of the bacteria growth, and it will increase the organic compound also in the water. Okay, especially in water when you have a low COD or BOD concentration. So the conclusion here is, if there is no incoming pollution source, water environment will possess its self-healing capability. All right. Then we did another interesting thing with on-site application. Of course, this is at Taman Pelangi Indah. So this is actually a group of enzyme activists. They actually asked me to help to actually prove the study. So what we did here is trying to improve the clarity of the recreational pond. Okay. So this is done last year until early this year. So we applied the enzyme in order not to affect the overall water quality or original water quality of the pond. So we did a very, very low concentration, meaning that it is only 0.0007% to 0.005%. So meaning that the percentage will not affect the water quality of the pond, meaning that it is, maybe it's like, it will only increase 0.0001 milligram per liter, okay, of the pollutants in the water. So we monitored several parameters. So we have the inlet pond in pond 1, because there's a groundwater seepage into here. All right. And then you have pond 2, and then you move to pond 3. So we did 3 ponds actually. So this is the pond water quality before the application of ecoenzyme. So the water is still slightly polluted. Okay, when we calculate the water quality index given by the Department of Environment, actually it is slightly polluted because generally it falls under class 3. Okay, so we did a few tests. Okay, we took the water, because the water contains some iron compounds inside. It's a natural iron. Okay, so what happened was, without ecoenzyme, after 30 minutes, we wanted to see whether the iron was settled down. It didn't. But then when we added with ecoenzyme, we can see that after 30 minutes, you can see a mark, okay, a very distinguished separation, okay, of the suspended materials. And after 24 hours, everything is settled to the bottom. So you can see that the water becomes very, very clean. Okay. So this is only with 500 ml with 1 cap of the mineral bottle of ecoenzyme only. Okay. So we did. So I did a test. So at day 0 and day 41. Okay, so this is the condition of the inlet pond at day 0. Okay, and then after that, this is at day 41. You can see that the suspended materials, okay, that stays at the site start to disappear. okay, it starts to disappear. It's very easily to see visually, okay, that the effects of ecoenzyme can do during water treatment. So this is not only one pond, because as this is one of the pouring point, we pour it at this point, so it becomes clear. Then we study in another pond. So we take the picture of the pond. You can see that the water has become clearer also. This is a little bit cloudy and muddy. When you take the picture, okay, you can see that the reflection is not so good. But then over here, the reflection can be clearly seen. And generally, all the classes at day 1 and day 41, you can see that for BOD, it is still remain the same. But for the COD has already stayed in class 2, it increased a little bit, all right? But then the pH will still remain at 3, okay? But the ammonia level has already reduced to about nearly 0, okay? And then for pond 3, okay, they will have what we see where after we added ecoenzyme at day 8 was they will have an appearance of suspended materials, meaning that there's no missing, okay? So they appear at the site. So what we did was we manually mix. So meaning that not I mix, the citizens who actually help staying around that area. This is the effort of the citizen or the residents in that taman. So they manually mixed, okay, the pond, okay. At day 41, you can see that the water color is totally different, orange and also a bit greenish, and the water is totally, and the smell of the iron is also gone, okay, meaning that the rusty smell is gone. So you can see that the total suspended solids has been in class 1, which is from 6.7 dropped down to nearly 0, and then the COD is also dropped down to nearly 0, and then your BOD is about 0.9, okay, and then ammonia is about 0.8. The reason that the pond 2 does not show a very substantial change in the water quality is because you have influx from pond 1 coming in, okay, and then they will have a seepage from the sides of the pond as well, all right, which I was not able to quantify that, okay. And then this is the pond that we took, that you can actually see the clarity, which initially you don't even see the bottom of the pond. So this is a very clear picture of it. Then the reason why is because when you added ecoenzyme in, it has acetic content. Remember the acetic acid, meaning that the vinegar content, okay, in the ecoenzyme itself. Okay, it can convert actually the iron, rusty iron, which is iron oxide form, into magnetite, okay, meaning that they binded the iron down. Okay, they convert it into a darker or iron 2, we call it iron 2. Okay, they bind it instead of letting it suspended in water. All right, so you can see that the changes of all the ions. Okay, I'll just take one example. I think, yeah, pond 2 will be the best example to show. Okay, you can see that the increment at day 637, the magnetite iron content or solid iron 2 is only 60%, and it can be increased to 80%. So this is what we want, because iron 2 can be absorbed by plants, but not iron 3. Okay, iron 3 can cause the plant to die. So this is what I wanted to show you. So because of the pond, before the application of ecoenzyme at the side of the pond, so we took a plot of land which is iron contaminated. You can see that the grass actually is nearly dead because it is iron 3. It is the rusty iron that caused the plants cannot grow well. Okay, so you can see that it is brown in color and all this. So what happened was, this is a day 0 where we don't add ecoenzyme residue on it. Then after that, we apply the residue. So you can see that your orange peels everywhere over here. And then you can see that the ground actually turned from orange into dark brown. And then this is very good for the plants or for the plants to grow. So this is how we do it. So this is day 0, and then this is day 5. So you can see that the orange plot of the, here is the orange plot, if you can see, okay? So the orange color of the soil has turned black, okay? So this is the dead part. So we took the same patch, just that it is at a different angle, okay, at day 0 and day 40. So you can see that the place where you don't really have ecoenzyme applied, the luscious of the green color is totally different. Okay, so it means that it can help to reduce or remediate or convert the iron, rusty iron, into the iron 2, okay, black color iron that can be easily absorbed by the plants. Okay, so this is the soil that is exposed to air. Okay, so when you have iron in the water, when you're exposed to air, it will cause rusty iron to form. Okay, this is the soil that you applied with ecoenzyme after 1 month, and then this is the soil that was not exposed to air. So you can see that they can actually convert from this to this, and then it may And when you do a comparison, it's actually more or less going to be more or less similar. If you leave it longer, then it's going to convert into a darker color of soil. Okay, so this is the summary that I make out from the pond study. Okay, so first you have groundwater, so you have the iron 3 and iron 2 inside binded at the soil, but then because of iron 2 is very water soluble, it can be released into the water, causing when iron 2 is in the water react with oxygen, what will happen was it will cause the formation of iron 3, which is the rust color that you see in the pond. Okay, the orange color, and then this solid may be settled down, but generally because it's like the particle is too fine, it is not able to settle down. Okay, but after the application of ecoenzyme, what happened was you introduce the ecoenzyme, you have acetic acid. So acetic acid will convert this iron 3 into iron 2, okay, further help it to settle down into the bottom of the pond. And then here it will help, the acetic acid will help the release of phosphate into the water. And then of course it will promote some algae growth. Okay, and then the algae will actually release oxygen into the water. So during that time when we were doing the study, actually we saw the revival of some insects like water striders. So water striders is an insect that signify that the water quality is quite good. So that's why they appear. And then we saw a lot of water striders start to breed in that ground. Okay, so when you have ammonia, and then when you have ammonia also, it will be converted and form nitrate. And then with ecoenzyme added, actually the nitrate will be converted into nitrogen gas. So in this nitrogen gas, when they have a balance in that cycle, meaning that it converts into the nitrogen gas and then ammonia is being consumed, if you make it into a balance, actually the water treatment or the water system can become better. Okay, and then the sulfate in the water also increase. But then one thing is, because we have incoming source pollution, but when we stop pouring the ecoenzyme due to NCO, so it converts. Initially, at first it was like this, then it turns into this. Okay, at first it was filled with iron oxide and rusty surface water. Okay, then it becomes this after treatment. But when we stop pouring, it is converted back into the original state. So meaning that when you have a pollution that keep coming in, your ecoenzyme pouring cannot stop. Okay, but of course you will need to tally it with your, you have to tally it with your lab study or your lab results in order to know what is the percentage of ecoenzyme that you need to pour into your water. All right, so over here is like, if you want to do it for environmental remediation or water polluted waters remediation, you need to proceed it with caution, meaning that overdose of ecoenzyme can lead to another pollution issue, especially algae bloom. And then after all, it will have its characteristics contain high organic contents and nutrients. Okay, so that's why you need to meticulously utilize, meaning that meticulously means that you need to be very, very, very careful when you want to dose it into the water. All right. Of course, I wanted to thank for the funding support from Persatuan Enzim Alam Sekitar Johor, as well as the BE Success for their funding support. Actually, they supported some money for me to do this study. And also, I thank all the volunteers, because it's like, if myself, my own strength, I can't do it at all. But then with everyone's strength, actually, you can make the environment better. So it is not only one person's job, it's everyone's job. So if you rely on the government is only one government, right? And then they need to pump in money. But actually, if you just do it yourself, okay, through a citizen effort, actually you can do a lot of things. Because somebody said that, yeah, me only one person, how can I do so many things? How can I help to remediate the environment? But this is the effort of 42 people involving in this that can actually help to make the environment better. All right, I think that's all for my sharing. Okay, so I will pass back to Donald. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thank you for our distinguished speaker, Dr. Yong, for the very inspiring and informative sharings. Now we will go for the 30 minutes times of the Q&A sessions. And then for all our participants which inside the Zoom room, if you have any questions they wish to ask, you can just type in the Q&A columns, or you can try to raise your hand, then our tech host will unmute you, and then you can answer, you can just speak out your questions, and then we will try our very best in order to answer you as fast as we could. So before that, can we try to talk, casual talk between with the speaker itself?
Oh, sure, no problem. I will be happy to do that.
Okay. So definitely, because just now I browsed through all the content itself. It's pretty good because yesterday I just bought. I just done the 2 drums of fermentations for the eco enzyme also, and then we'll be
Okay.
to our client, which is to assist them to purify their wastewater because they are doing food manufacturing processes. So they have their existing leak traps, and then now Department of Environment just did the sampling on last Wednesday. Which is, I think, is quite worse on the result. So we try to use eco enzyme to assist them to purify, to enhance the efficiency of the existing risk trap.
Yes.
Okay. So afterwards, we will try to observe the result from the time to times, see whether how much of the improvement can be done.
Hopefully it works out, because it's like currently you need to see what is the content of the wastewater first, meaning that meaning that is it oily, is it all the stuff lah? But then if it is oily, then it will be able to help to break down some of the oils, and it can actually helps to boost the bacteria production as well. So, but then it's like you don't overdose it, meaning that you have to play around with the COD and BOD characteristic. Okay, meaning that the dosage that you put it in, it has to be tally with your COD and BOD lah. So don't overdose it. Overdose it will create another problem, which I don't think you want it to be as well.
Yes, definitely. So by today is very kind of informative. So
yes.
At least I know how much lah. If around 50 to 70 ppm, just now I saw.
I see. Okay, because it's like the actually it's like I actually that time when I was doing my internship with IWK. IWK is Indah Water, our wastewater operators in Malaysia. So what happened was actually it's like I did a few drums for them as well when I was doing my attachment. I think I did about 100 liters. So I cut and everything. So I did over there. So actually they have been putting there for 1 year. I told them, why don't you try? Why don't you try? And nobody there to try. So there was one occasion where they have a plant that is, they can't meet the standard. So the DOE wanted to summon them. So what did the supervisor do? Never mind, it's like the wastewater treatment plant is dead anyway. So why don't we just pour it in? If it happen. If it doesn't happen, then just leave it. So what happened was they revived. They were so happy that they called me. They said, "Hey, Dr. Yong, the treatment plant is actually being revived." It's like initially the sludge was black in color. Black in color signified that the sludge is already dead. But what they found was the sludge turned brown. So turning brown meaning that you revive, you make the sludge alive again. And the sludge alive is one thing. And then the water effluent that comes out from the treatment plant actually is totally clear. They said it's much clearer than what they have done previously. So actually they are trying also to make a lot of eco enzyme. So actually now trying to solve the issues now. Okay, so actually I was very excited. So that's why I started to embark more on this study. So it was very interesting. I even use it to plant my my kangkong. So normally kangkong, you don't see flower. When you bought from the vegetable store and all this, you don't see flower because kangkong will only need about 3 weeks to 4 weeks before you can harvest. And my kangkong, I use eco enzyme. It starts to flower. This is the first time I see flower in a kangkong. I never see a flower in a kangkong. So after 2 weeks of planting, meaning that I harvest the first time. So when I harvest the first time, it was about 3 weeks. Yeah, so how come I got a flower? But only that I realized that actually kangkong has flower. Because I spray with eco enzyme and then I use the eco enzyme as a fertilizer. Actually, it is quite proven that actually they have a high content of phosphorus and also potassium as well as ammonia. So meaning that will help the fertilizing part lah. And the leaves is also much bigger than the one that I bought from the store.
Highly sufficient of NPK.
Oh, very, very, because it's like even IWK that time, one of the officers, they called me, they said that they wanted to combine that with their sludge in order to boost the sludge fertilizing properties. And they found that actually the NPK is more than 500.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very, very interesting.
That's even better than all the chemistry kind of fertilizers.
Oh, yes, definitely. So actually, it's like you can actually convert your waste, just that you need to, if you want to convert it to fertilizer, meaning that you can use your residue.
I see.
Apart from the liquid, you can use the residue. The residue, what you need to do is you have to leave it open air. If you keep it fermented, it will be under the pH of 3, which is not suitable for planting. So you can actually leave it exposed to air, let it dry, and then it will turn into fine powder.
Oh, we got one question
Okay.
from our past president, CCTO. Is asking, does it smelly?
Okay, so if you ferment it correctly, you will only smell of vinegar. Do you like the smell of vinegar?
Yes. Okay. Because I just smelled it yesterday because I bought all over for 2 drums of that eco enzyme from JB down to Batu Pahat. So all the way, the smell already fully covered inside my vehicles.
Okay, so very interesting. Okay, but then very interesting is if you use flour, I use chrysanthemum. I try to ferment chrysanthemum for my facial users. Actually, I did others for my facial also.
Wow.
Because, yeah, so it's like what happened was I'm fermenting the chrysanthemum. And if you ferment with chrysanthemum, it will smell of chrysanthemum smell. Oh, very smell really, really nice, I tell you. If you ferment it with honey, then it will smell of honey. A very nice smell. So it is very interesting to see what you ferment it with actually. But if you ferment it with vegetable, that is a little bit slightly smelly for the first month. Then after that, the second month, it will turn into vinegar already. Then it will smell of vinegar.
It's good. And then, just regardless of the, just now it shows, during the fermentations within 1 month or 3 months, there will be a presence of the fungi and the microorganisms.
Yes, correct.
So just wish to have a very clear explanation from doctor. The eco-enzyme fermentation period, recommended period is how long for the fermentations to be complete. So it won't bring any hazardous or harmful, we can say, implications, to the users itself.
Okay, normally the enzyme, normally the fungi that is in the enzyme will be white rot and also yeast. So you use the yeast to bake your breads, right? So it's actually the same family. So meaning that it's the same species. I would say it's a species, but that is the same family of that. So actually it is the wild yeast that you can actually capture on the skin of your fruits and all this. So actually it is not really hazardous unless you see different colors of fungi or molds growing. Then that would be hazardous, especially the black molds. So that one you have to scoop off and throw it away and then you can continue to ferment it. All right, and then after 3 months, you will see that the bacteria will start to disappear already. So actually after 3 months is actually okay. Just that for me, I would prefer to ferment it to 6 months, to about 6 months, because if you use a baking soda at your home, okay, if you use baking soda at your home, you test it with your eco enzyme, actually it will bubbles, okay? So the bubbles is stronger after 6 months actually. I think Fu from Batu Pahat raised his hands down.
Very good afternoon to District Governor, PDG Datuk Zaini, and all my fellow Rotarians. Thank you, Dr. Oi, for your very insightful presentation.
No problem.
For people like me, I'm only at kindergarten level.
Oh, no
so
problem.
I would like to learn more from you. From time to time, since you are from Batu Pahat, I would love to see you in Batu Pahat meeting more often. The best way is to invite you to be our members. I hope you do consider my invitation seriously. Thank you.
Okay, sure, no problem, Ken. Always welcome.
Very good, very good.
If I can contribute, it's sure, no problem.
Even though you stay in Johor Bahru, we have Rotarians from KL and Singapore, but their hearts are with us. So I can see, Doctor, before your presentation, you were talking about you are from Batu Pahat.
Yes.
Were you an interactors from convent before?
Oh, yes, I'm from convent.
Are you
a convent
interactors?
Huh? I'm the what, sorry?
Were you the interactors?
Oh, no, I'm not. No. I was not in the Interact Club last time. Yes.
It's a good start to be a Rotarian.
Okay, sure.
Welcome to Batu Pahat.
I can go back and visit my father also.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's a very good reason. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. See your father and don't forget to come to RCBP building.
Oh, sure. No problem. Next time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's why, Dr. Yong, you must join us already since you already been invited by our past president.
Okay.
So
Okay, sure.
wait for my
Sure.
wait for my further call for the arrangement for the invitation to our upcoming club meetings, and then for the upcoming, we still have various kind of environmental kind of events, and definitely need all of your kind of assistance. Even though you still invited your neighbor, which is Professor Dr. Zainura also will be upcoming for the
Yes.
World Water Day.
Okay, yeah.
Donald, you must catch hold of Dr. Oi. Each time, I think Dato Zaini will love to see Dr. Oi to participate in our district event. Dato Zaini is my
Yes.
mentor and he's also the leader of this area. So,
Yeah,
Dato, you can invite her to Sabah also.
yes, definitely.
I would love to go to Sabah.
Yes, I'm from the land below the wind, Sabah here. I'm very impressed with your presentation, Doctor, and also my colleague, I think Rotary Norma from Pearl, she's here. I look at her face during the presentation. She is very impressed. So, so we would like you to join Rotary first.
Okay, sure. I'll accept your invitation.
This Rotarian Norma, not only a good Rotarian, she can do a lot of gardening and she's a multi-talent Rotarian. Together with Rotarian, you can see their Facebook.
Indigenous people who made up
I'm not blowing their trumpet. They are really good.
Of Sabah's population.
Thank you.
The Bumiputras consists
Norma.
Okay, Norma, ada soalan nak tanya?
and making living in
Actually,
Sabah so
my
colorful
supposed question was already
with a variety
answered
of
during the talk,
costumes,
because I was wondering if the
dance, and
residue can be
culture.
used for fertilizer.
With
But
diversity
when
comes a
Dr.
cacophony
Ling
of
just now mentioned
ideas,
that it can
different
actually be
ways of
sprayed
thinking
even on her
and
kangkong.
behavior,
Thank you.
which
I'm going
makes
to
the
use it.
club very vibrant.
Yes. Actually, if you spray on your kangkong, I mean you have to dilute. You don't do the full. You don't use the full strength. It has to dilute 1 to 1,000. If you use full strength, later your kangkong will be burned.
Okay.
Because it's acidic, so it will burn the leaves. Yeah. So another way, if you do not have plants, okay, your residue, okay, what you can do for your residue is actually you blend it, okay, you pour it into your toilet bowl. It can help IWK to enhance their treatment system also.
Very good. It's something new.
Really,
I know.
that's really good. That's something new to learn. Thank you very much.
Donald, can you invite Ambari, Rotarian Ambari, our regional chair from Singapore? She got something to say. Ambari?
Definitely.
Yeah, where's Ambari? I saw you, Ambari.
Yes, hi.
Yes.
Hi, Dr. Zaini. I'm in a car.
Okay.
Thank you so much for this wonderful talk. I would actually like the recording also, because I can then, send it across to all the abstract clubs in my chapter. And I think they will be able to benefit really well from this talk.
I hope it will benefit others.
Yeah, because Ambari is a member of this worldwide gathering of Rotarians who are very passionate about environmental conservation. She's a member of that. What they call IREC. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Zaini.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay. So any more questions from our participants?
I think our beautiful girl from Sarawak, Rotarian Pauline, I think she has question to ask.
Yes,
then, Dr. Oi, for your information, if you go to Sarawak, you can get all the free biscuit from Rotarian Pauline.
Okay.
You're kidding me.
Thank you.
Pauline, mana kau?
Pauline, say something.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you, Doctor, for a very interesting talk. But apparently, I don't do that in my place here.
Don't worry. Everyone has a first time to do it. So don't
We
worry.
do biscuits, but we don't do this.
Right, we try to encourage everyone in order to start doing this eco enzyme to pay a little bit of the efforts to assist our environment.
Yes.
Actually,
my
it's like
housekeeper do it and then she will send it all over to me. So it's like I get it for free.
that's good. That's good.
Okay, wow.
Because the most important is to start doing it lah. I mean, you start
Yes.
doing it and then you know its uses. I mean, especially for me, it's like I don't have sufficient eco enzyme for me to use because it's like I use it for planting, I use it for cleaning. Okay, especially when I clean my poles and plates and all this, and then I use it to clean my
Yes.
floor
They
and
say
stuff.
you even can do it on your floor, like when you mop the floor, it will be
yes,
like
yes.
sparkling.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, it is. It is actually it is because normally what I will do is I'm a bit lazy to mix different things at the same time. So what I'll do is I'll pre-mix with my detergent. So I just pump a little bit and then after that I use it to clean my floor.
Correct. It's very useful.
It's very
But
useful.
it's just to some people they don't like the smell of it. When they
but then if you
ferment
add
it,
it with your yeah, that's
smell.
right. But if you add it with what you can do is if you don't like the smell, you wanted to cover a smell, actually if you have essential oils, you can actually add it in. So if you add it in the essential oils, it will make it better. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the tips.
Hey, no
I will
problem.
let my housekeeper know.
So I think we don't have any more questions from the floor. So now I will end for these Q&A sessions. And then now I will invite our District Environmental Committee Chair, PP Rajakupal, in order to deliver his closing remark for our today webinar sessions. I will pass the stage to PP Rajakupal.
Thank you, Donald. Now, DG Dolly, past district governor, our advisor, Dato Zaini, and regional chair for Singapore, Ambari, and fellow Rotarians and guests. Now, my name is Gopal. I see there are quite a number of guests. Just to introduce myself, I'm the district chair for protecting the environment for this term for District 3310. And our district includes Johor, Melaka in West Malaysia, Sabah, Sarawak, and Labuan in East Malaysia, and Singapore and Brunei. It's a wide area. First of all, let me thank RC Batu Pahat for organizing such a very informative talk, and at the same time inviting me for this session and deliver a vote of thanks to the speaker, Dr. Yong, Ling. Now, protecting the environment is now the 7th area of focus for Rotary International, as you all know. But clubs have been engaging in projects relating to environment over the years. But Rotary now sees it apt now to adopt this area as a new area of focus. And coincidentally, last year and this year, we see, among other environmental calamities, we see the pandemic COVID-19 has become a top concern, where Rotary is playing a very big hand in health-related areas and also with regards to environment. Now, it gives me great pleasure in thanking our speaker, Dr. Yong Ling, for her presentation in converting kitchen waste to purified wastewater. Now, just to highlight some points that she raised. Now, one interesting thing she spoke about water in India. Now, this is the first advice we give to all the travelers going to India for the first time. Now, the first thing we tell them is do not drink water right out of the tap or right from anywhere you get fresh water. It's not that simple in India, because for 101% you'll get diarrhea, and that diarrhea will last for 1 month. So we'll always tell them you must get bottled water or treated water or boiled water. You can't drink. So the speaker raised out is very interesting, because this is the first thing that was told to me when I went to India. Okay, that's one thing. Now, the other thing also, I was also quite surprised to note the amount of waste originating from household, from her figures, 44 to 45%, which is very, very high. Now, the other thing is she was talking a lot of things about chemicals and enzymes. Now, I'm sure these are, now for laymen and for people who are not familiar with all these enzymes and coenzymes, maybe it's a bit heavy to digest in one speech. But anyway, Dr. Yong has actually given a so very detailed and in-depth study in treating water and all the other benefits of what you can get out of treating this water. Now, thank you very much, Dr. Ling, for your detailed talk on treating water. And, I believe it is only right as protocol of Rotary to give a big hand of applause for the beautiful speech she has given. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well done, well done.
Good, Pranav.
Okay, thank you, PP Raja Kupal, for the closing remark. And then, as a conclusions for today's really appreciated for all the participants for spending your around 1.5 hours with us. And then hopefully all this talk and for these webinar sessions really bring you some insightful regarding all the eco-enzyme and how the enzyme works to purify the wastewater and even how can assist to enhance our water quality. So, I saw there's a raised hand from Emery.
Hi, Donald. Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to make an announcement that on 30th, which is next Thursday in the evening, 7:30, we have a very special event. So I just wanted to invite everybody to that event, which is going to be about the Green Consumer Day. So we will have two parts to that event. Number one will be a very exciting recycling competition that happened for our Interact clubs. We have had very interesting entries and a winner will be announced. And also we will have a very interesting talk by a lady called Dr. Aparna, who will be talking about how to declutter our homes so that we can bring about less waste in our waste that comes out of our homes. So I will be sending across the Zoom details and the flyer soon, probably in the next 1 or 2 days. And then I just wanted to invite everybody so that if you're free, you can join us for that exciting event. Thank you, Donald. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Emery, for the sharings. Definitely, we will join for that upcoming events. Okay. So before we can end the sessions, can I urge everyone in order, if you are convenient, please turn on your webcam so we can take a very nice group pictures. So our take host will arrange. Ready, Rameo? Oh, we still have a lot of participants haven't turned on the webcams. Okay. Okay, I think it's ready. So 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. Thank you very much for all the participations. So I'm here. We end for these today webinar sessions. Really appreciate for your time.
Very good. Well done, Donald. Well done.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you, everyone.
Well done, RC Batu Pahat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you for a great session.
Have a good afternoon. See you all tonight.
Good
Yeah.
afternoon. Good
Thank you,
evening.
DG
Bye.
See you all
Thank
tonight.
you.
Bye.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye.
Thank you, Rotarian
Bye-bye.
Pauline. Nice to see you, Rotarian Pauline.
DG, Danny, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Kailun. Hi,
Okay.
Dixon.
Halo, Norma. Dua orang
Thank
dari
you,
Sabah
Donald.
ni.
Hi, PP
Thank you to
Bill.
all the tech hosts.
Thank you. Hi, Texin.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Thank you.
Texin. How are you?
Bye, Donald.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well done, Donald.
Thank you, Norma.
See you tonight, guys, if you want for
Yes.
Article Live.
See you tonight.
Okay, bye.
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 Okay, Donald, I think we will share the link later into the district chat.